Well, hey there, team. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some more Stationeers. So I was thinking, as I am wont to do, I know it's dangerous, crack this old bloody square head of mine with that sort of behaviour, but I was thinking, because the point keeps getting raised that I'm making more work for myself by creating this sealed room. Scarlet, why don't you just build it in vacuum? Now, it's not so much that I'm being defensive, it's just a point that keeps coming up, and I think, why has it not been addressed properly? And that's on my end, because it occurred to me that I'm sort of, I don't know, you have your own peripheral thoughts floating around in your own brain, right? And maybe I didn't actually convey along the way, but what if we were on Mars, or any other planet in this game? How many planets are there? There's probably like 5 or 6 or something. And the only one without an atmosphere is this one. I guess technically not a planet, right? Every other, 5/6 of the game, whatever, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but you know what I'm saying. The overwhelming majority has an atmosphere. And from what I understand, only one of them has a really fucking cold atmosphere. That's like Europa, right? So I guess I'm sort of working on the knowledge that like this system should be fundamentally designed. If we say we're on Mars, we would require my system and the vacuuming wouldn't be an answer. And I'm not judging people harshly with the concept of they're wanting to cut corners because we're in vacuum. I think if anything, you're being more practical. Those that are like, why are you making this cold room for the ice when you could just do it in vacuum? And I suppose maybe there's just another step that I just didn't alliterate. I didn't put into my process, perhaps, to get you on the same wavelength as me, that this is a project that needs to be designed at some point, and we might as well do it here. Maybe that's the missing jump that people were missing. Because then, conversely, if it's not, I would ask, how on earth would you build this system on Mars? You know what I mean? You would need, because if we go down into our little bloody hole, I'll take my jetpack. We come down here, right? We come into this room. Well, if we didn't have a room, if it was atmosphere, as soon as this thing unpacks the ore, that ore will evaporate immediately in the atmosphere of Mars, of any of the other planet, of Lulan. Lulan's got the most Earth-like atmosphere, but it won't be, it'll be above 0 degrees. It'll be too hot. So what do you do? But then that raises some all interesting questions as well. Because Scarlet, you're using a lot of vacuum cooling. Arguably, I'm exploiting the fact that these things all cool so easily in a vacuum environment. I'm using that as heat exchange. It's a good point, dear imaginary person in my head that when I think I was bouncing off the idea off the wall off. Anyway, so that makes me think as well, how would we do cooling on Mars? Because I haven't really done this is the first time I've really looked at cooling, and I struggle with the idea of like you'd need a refrigerant. That's essentially what all of this is. I say coolant, you could say refrigerant. It's the exact same thing, but we're using it as vacuum cooled into nothingness, into the infinite open system that is non-temperature holding, I suppose. Geez, use your words well there. I guess maybe you would make a covered sort of alcove and potentially have an airflow boundary, maybe even like a turbine wall, not even to power the turbines, but just as a separation wall to make a room that's got free exchange of air, but inside it's sealed and potentially cooler than the outside. That would cool overnight. Maybe we'd make a capture one to capture the coldest air at night. You know, like when the sun goes down on, because Mars has a very thin atmosphere. Perhaps we, anyway, I know I'm sidetracking, but these are important questions that we all should be thinking about. And I feel like maybe that wasn't on people's menu because they were like, well, we're on the moon, so we don't need to do this system. But my friends, we do. Anyway, how's this all looking? I mean, my plants look like they're still alive in there, so that's good. My machine's still going. My battery's still holding. Things are going bloody tickety-boo. All right, so we're going to start sealing this. Well, actually, no, we're not going to start sealing it in. We're going to start wiring it. People were there was a bit of a back and forth about whether or not these machines emit heat. Surely they do. Or at least we're all good engineering folk. Maybe we just behave like they do anyway. So I'm going to start wiring all this stuff in back to here. And then I was going to make a logic wall. Now people have raised some very valid concerns. Well, hang on, I've got 30. Let's just drop this here. Because I was making walls at the end. That's why that's that. Anyway, I just thought that that's interesting stuff to think about that maybe some haven't. So the logic, people are pointing out that it doesn't have an off state. Now here's the thing. I'm hearing a lot of theoretical, I don't want to say posturing, but because that sounds like almost demeaning. It's not supposed to be, but it might be the correct term. Maybe we just say theorizing. That's a bit more polite. So, but I haven't seen a lot of anecdotal evidence. You know, people have suggested this is how you would do the logic build, yada yada. Oh, you know what? I wanted to go up so I could go over the frame. Let's just do that. Let's do that. And while I understand people's theories about you will have to refire the switch, I kind of do feel like without some sort of, it's not anecdotal, well it is anecdotal if it's only really one of you, but empirical, without some sort of empirical support for your position, your theory's kind of as sound as mine. Unless of course there is some sort of, you know, I have in fact done it this way, therefore. But that hasn't been put across. What would be the best way to get that up onto the roof? Probably just straight up from here, right? So, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to be able to get this done this episode anyway. We've still got a lot of, you know, Scarlet speaks and sets things up. Is that actually where we want to place that for real? I should probably just move it all together. So let me know if you actually have put your logic on-off thing into theory, and if you've seen it work. I'm sure it would work. I suppose I'm sort of saying what I was suggesting, that it could be as simple as just hold the button down. It's not unfathomable to think that the game has its own sort of clock tick for loop cycle built into the base of the code of how the programming already works. What I'm trying to say is, if you just tell it to hold down the on button, I think it's well within the realm of possibility that this game will just keep pressing the on button on the furnace on a time that's built into the program, the logic that this game runs on. It's quite possible, and we won't know until we do it. Unloader. So that's sort of where my mindset is. So we'll plug all this in. Oh no, what are you doing? For some, I mean, it's built in me that I just want to make it go downwards. Wires go down. Yeah, I don't think there's any harm in just going straight up. Ooh, it's getting cozy in here, isn't it? Alright. God, it is fiddly, isn't it? Getting it all compact. Right. Good thing I didn't bloody seal everything in. The frames themselves are a pain in the ass. Alright, now we do have to actually rotate this. Remember, we lost an episode of progress, a save file, whatever you want to call it. This will probably do it. I mean, I could build that lower to line up with it, just to make it less laborious. How does this... Oh, it's got it on the other side. Okay. So is it going to want to do that? Oh, I think it is. Yeah. Okay, let's... Hand drill doesn't have enough battery. Let's address that. Oh, we've dropped 2,000 on our... past 2,000 on our propellant. So that's probably worth having to think about as well. Oh, whoops. I should have done a straight swap. Oh well. It's always the hand drill that gets used up. Whatever the draw is on this thing. It's nuts. So yeah, the logic, we're going to have to build it. But perhaps you follow what I mean. It's sort of like... I love the idea of trading theories, but... just going, no, your logic won't work because... And I'm sort of like, okay, careful doing that. You go, I think... You know, you can't deal in definites unless you've actually built that system and said it won't work that way. But perhaps I need to just explain my position a bit more clearly in the first and say, well, I think that not necessarily because I didn't think of the refiring issue, rather I actually did consider it, and I don't know if the system, because it's a video game, it's not real life, it's, it might not actually accommodate for that. Oh, that worked out nicely. Now, where are the pipes going to come out of this? That's the face of it. That's the top. So the pipes are going to come out the bottom. But I couldn't care less whether the pipes were cold or warm or whatever, right? Because they're going to be separated already. It's going to be hydrogen and everything else, which is inert, and oxygen, which is non-explosive basically by what we got in the game. And it could get... I don't give a fuck. I mean, it could potentially burst from a temperature change like through expansion, but the network is going to be... we want it to have almost infinite capacity, relatively infinite capacity, because this system is made to last. So we'll put big bloody tanks on the end of it. No. Crowbar. Of course it's something stupid like the crowbar. That's what we want to see, right? So we'll need one more of a... Well, actually, where does the cable go? I don't quite remember. Let's just check that. See, the cable goes on the head. So the way this is facing, it's sort of like that. So that's the chute. So the cable comes out the bottom, so we need to make room for that. Okay. Oh, God damn. Yeah, so I think the cable... Oh, it's very... close. I think that'll actually do it, to be honest. We'll have to build the furnace to know for sure. Iron sheets, and I also want some more what do you call it? Jesus, we've just gone past 1900 kPa. Okay, that's all right. We might have to end up pivoting and like harvesting gas out of this system, something like that, to keep working in there. Shoot. Wait. Was it that I could build chutes on this, but it was cheaper? Was it chutes? It was. Iron. I'll just take the one. I'm not trying to sort of... I'm happy just doing bespoke builds at the moment while I, so I don't lose my train of thought and I forget what I'm up to. Wrench. Two iron sheets and a welding torch. That looks sealed to me. Boy, look at that. He's done it to him. Alright. And then as far as pipes go, that's output. There will never be an input. Do I have any pipes in my backpack? I do not. So yeah, behold the completed furnace system, at least on one half. Alright, so what do we need now? I'm gonna plug that in there, so we're gonna need one more chute there. Is that just one chute? It's hard to tell, could be two. Could be two, let's get three then, all up. Three then. And then, 4. Oh, this is going to have to sort of dogleg around, I think, to get out. Because we want to eject the ore. So 5 to turn, 6, 7, and an 8 to poke it out the bottom, I guess. 8 might be wishful thinking with the amount of iron that we've got, but we'll see how we go. I've got 9. Okay. So, yeah. But remember, it's like, I mean, the beauty of Stationeers is like, where are you going? What is your objective? So while I see people saying, I'm making more work for myself, the experiment in itself is sound and interesting, and perhaps, like I said, that was the missing link that people hadn't considered, that what we design here today, or through this series, could be transposed onto, say, Vulcan, or Lulan, or Mars, and in that case, you absolutely need a cool room to stop the, did I say 8 or 9? I think I said 8. To stop the sorted ores from cooling. And having it in some alcove out of the way and hoping that the sunlight doesn't get there and the passive heat doesn't heat up is just unacceptable. That won't work. You can take the extreme example of Vulcan. You can't just hide it from the sun. It will cook because that atmosphere is so red hot. Might have to return to Vulcan at some point, eh? I used to run many different series side by side, and I liked that, I did, but the problem is that your efforts get a bit diluted. I kind of like this engineering experimenting. So like Lulan is a gimmick. No offense to the developers or anything like that, but once you sort of get your head around the scavenging and all that, it's like, it is absolutely not the quintessential Stationeers experience. And the other planets just have different atmospheres, though. Like, I would be interested to give Vulcan or Europa a go just because it's so bloody intense and bloody hard. What do you guys think, actually? Would you be able to stomach me running 2 series side by side? I think with Mars, I mean, I almost feel like this is a good testing ground where we are now. It's the crowbar, isn't it? But I think never again would I run the moon after this. I feel like not having an atmosphere is such a step away from almost every other scenario in the game, if you follow. Oh, we're not going to have enough iron sheets, are we?
Power low.
2 iron sheets. Yeah, so at the very least, I'd run it on Mars just because you have to deal with that external atmosphere. Like, that's a very real thing to consider. But the Europa and Vulcan, I dabbled with Vulcan. That was fascinating. I suppose my issue with Vulcan is, like, I enjoy what we've got going on here, where everyone's collaborating, working together. No one's backseating, right? If anyone's still backseating, they probably don't realise they're muted. But, like, we're all sort of contributing to the process together. I need 2 more sheets, don't I? The problem with Vulcan is you'd have some giga chud that has played 500 hours of this, and he's come in swinging his dick trying to tell me how it is. And they're like, no, you have to do this, you have to do that, you bricked your thing, whatever, as opposed to sort of just letting me play it and figure out the way to overcome Vulcan. So we've got one iron in there, so we're going to need more iron. We're literally 1 iron short. But, that's not to say I think people understand when I say this. I usually get a lot of support, actually. There is a difference between helpful advice and direction and backup, and then some person, but no, you're doing it wrong, do it my way. I'm trying to just bloody tell you how it is. So I found I ran into a little bit of that on the Vulcan playthrough, I believe. Is that at the same height? Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's interesting. They're kind of too close together. They're going to pass each other like ships in the night. What can we do about that? Oh, I could probably zip a cable underneath here. Yeah, that's exactly what I'll do. Because it's not going to hurt. That's cool how it highlights to show me that it's going to connect. No, I don't want to interfere with the pipe. Oh, no, that's good, that works. And then... oh, that was it there. There we go. Oh, we have a problem. That's interfering with the furnace. Okay, so they're going to have to be offset unless I draw them back one. Ah, bugger. Alright. I don't really want to have that sticking through, just because of transfer of heat and that. I'd rather reduce having stuff stuck through the wall, half in the system, half out the system. Which means, sadly enough, I'm going to have to pull this entire system back one step, which I can afford to do here. That's alright. This is part of the process. $17.45. Yeah, I think I think next episode we might pivot to make an oxy, not oxy. Oh, that's something we need to fucking think about as well. We'll pivot to make like a refueling station for my back jetpack. Oh, you know what? This won't be so bad. Right. Come on. We can just have this furnace sit back like that. Yeah, that works. Apologies if you could see that coming down the train tracks. I mean, I am trying to multitask. Talk and be entertaining all around, you know, the whole time. Alright. So this is going to end up going down like yay. Oh, that kind of worked out in the end. Have I missed something? Probably. I don't know. So, wire cutters. Come on. I'm sorry, I know I mouse wheel still. That's just the true sign of a Gen 1 Stationeers player, right? Because the alt drag is the new hotness, which, you know, we'll get there. Alright, that'll wire them in. Oh, we're gonna have to correct this. And then we'll join them together. And what was it, C? No. Oh, I gotta remember to do that. Alright, cool. So that's rigged. That's just gonna have to get rigged into the ceiling. Oh, you know what? We could probably just rig it down here. No, keep going this way. Oh my god, finally. Alright. Behold, my creation. So we're getting there. We're getting there. It's almost done. We just need to finish that furnace. We're gonna have to run the pipes. We're gonna have to do the logic. So, like I said, I'm quite happy to go against go with the more complicated logic that people have posited, and it makes sense if you're assuming that it needs to be pressed again. But a part of me kind of feels like, well, I mean, again, I haven't looked at the IC chip language in this. Apparently, it's based on BASIC a bit. I don't really know how complicated it gets. But perhaps you can understand. Maybe I'm not using my word. I don't have a command prompt in front of me. But I kind of feel like there is a time cycle built into this game at a level, right? There would be like a chip cycle sort of thing, right? Well, that's probably not the right term, but in that if you did just tell it to press, onto a button that doesn't necessarily have an off state, potentially it would fire it again. However, as I say that, I do realize that, like, what if you wanted to make a system where it would only ever press the button if you said the impulse to press it once? You know, going on what I'm saying, that would be impossible because it would just constantly refire. So I could be totally wrong. Yeah. Another thing that just occurred to me, actually, like, I know we muse about clocks, and I know it's a little bit of a side thing, but say we had a sensor sensing the daylight angle, right, which is changing rapidly every second or so, right? What if you use that as your memory check block to check against if the angle had changed? Will the game only check it once, or will the logic have, like I said, I feel like there might be its own loop system in there. Maybe it would prompt a check every single time that shifted a degree. You know what I mean? The game would recognize the changed state. It's just musing and thinking about it, because you got to remember it is still a game, and we're poking and prodding and figuring out how this game system works. But I suppose it would be disingenuous of me not to actually treat it like a real system, because that's what I'm doing with this. With the air system and heat from machines, I'm making a lot of real life assumptions. So maybe I should make more real life assumptions with my logic. A bit of a moment for introspection there from the Scarlet Seeker. But, you know, that's the whole point. You've got to always be thinking about what you're doing. All right, team. Thanks again for joining me. We might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.